and good evening, viewers. I'm Rashika and you're watching the news live at 9 p.m. on Sunset Television. We will begin the bulletin with the emphasis on the SCO meet and other important news across the nation and the world. A look at today's headlines first up. SCO conference discusses efforts to increase regional security, trade and connectivity. Prime Minister Modi suggests special working group on startup and innovation. Prime Minister Modi holds bilateral meetings with heads of several countries on the sidelines of the SCO summit, discusses Ukraine crisis, food and fuel security with Putin. Enforcement Directorate freezes funds of 4 online payment gateways. Case of financial irregularities in Chinese loan app after raids in many states including Delhi, Maharashtra. Heavy rains in many states including Uttar Pradesh. Wall collapse kills 9 people in Lucknow. School and offices closed. Red alert for the next 2 days. US announces $600 million weapons aid for Ukraine. UN Nuclear Agency asks Russia to leave Ukraine's nuclear plant. Now look at the important stories of the day in our flash segment. India will achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat in defence sector by meeting production targets of rupees 1.75 lakh crore by 2025, says Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. Target includes exports worth rupees 35,000 crore. Supreme Court seeks centre's response on appeal against Delhi High Court's split verdict on marital rape. E-auction of gifts presented to Prime Minister Modi to begin on Friday. 1,222 mementos to be e-auctioned. India to host 9th session of International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food Agriculture from September 19th. Supreme Court defers hearing on demolition of Goa's Curly's restaurant. The restaurant is linked to Sonali Phogat's death. Former President Kovind releases book titled Ambedkar and Modi, Reformers' Ideas, Performers' Implementation. ED carries out search operations on app-based token in Delhi, Ghaziabad, Mumbai, Lucknow and Gaya. Related FIR filed in Nagaland. Supreme Court refuses to hear PIL seeking uniform dress code. Petitioners sought uniformity in dress code for teachers, students and staff in educational institutes. Flash floods claim 10 lives in Italian region of Marche. Thousands of passengers are affected by French air traffic control strike over wages and recruitment. Now let's begin with our top story. India secured the rotating presidency of the 8-member Shanghai Cooperation Organization at the 22nd SCO Summit in Samarkand. India will now host the next SCO Summit next year in 2023. In today's summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping and other leaders of SCO deliberated on key issues. They included the regional security situation, ways to enhance trade and connectivity, culture and tourism. At the venue of the summit, Modi was warmly greeted by Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. Ahead of the deliberations at the restricted format of the summit, leaders of the permanent members of the grouping posed for a group photo at the Samarkand's Congress Center. Launched in Shanghai in June 2001, the SCO has 8 members including China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India and Pakistan. Over the years, it has emerged as one of the largest trans-regional international organizations. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi also attended the SCO summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 22nd summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Samarkand today. Prime Minister Modi said that the Indian economy is expected to grow at 7.5% this year, which will be the highest among the world's largest economies. He added that India is on its way to becoming a manufacturing hub. He pointed out that there are more than 70,000 startups in India, of which more than 100 are unicorns.
एससीओ को हमारे क्षेत्र में विश्वस्त, रेजिलिएंट और डाइवर्सिफाइड सप्लाई चेन्स विकसित करने के लिए प्रयत्न करने चाहिए। इसके लिए बेहतर कनेक्टिविटी की आवश्यकता तो होगी ही, साथ ही यह भी महत्वपूर्ण होगा कि हम सभी एक दूसरे को ट्रांजिट का पूरा अधिकार दें।
Prime Minister Modi said that COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine have disrupted the global supply chains. He called on the SCO must make efforts to develop reliable, resilient and diversified supply chains in our region. He said that this will require better connectivity and need for giving each other full right to transit. The Prime Minister said India is one of the most affordable destinations for medical and wellness tourism in the world today. He asserted that the WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in Gujarat will be WHO's first and only center of its kind globally.
हमारे ये अनुभव कई अन्य एससीओ सदस्यों के भी काम आ सकता है। इसी उद्देश्य से हम एक नए स्पेशल वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन स्टार्टअप्स एंड इनोवेशन की स्थापना करके एससीओ के सदस्य देशों के साथ अपना अनुभव साझा करने के लिए तैयार है। भारत आज विश्व के मेडिकल एंड वेलनेस टूरिज्म के लिए सबसे किफायती डेस्टिनेशन में से एक है। हमें एससीओ देशों के बीच ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन पर सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए। इसके लिए भारत एक नए एससीओ वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन पर पहल लेगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the SCO summit. He held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in the Uzbek city of Samarkand. The two leaders discussed bilateral, regional and global issues, including global food and energy security, terrorism and the current situation in Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi suggested to the Russian president to refrain from war, to which Putin said that Kyiv doesn't want to come on the negotiating table.
दुनिया के सामने जो सबसे बड़ी चिंता है और खास करके डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को फूड सिक्योरिटी के, फ्यूल सिक्योरिटी की, फर्टिलाइजर की, ऐसी जो समस्याएं हैं, हमें जरूर उनके रास्ते निकालने होंगे। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे विश्वास है कि आज की हमारे बायलैटरल भी, आज की हमारी बातचीत भी आने वाले दिनों में हमारे संबंधों को भी गहरे करेंगे। विश्व की जो आशा अपेक्षाएं हैं उसको पूर्ण करने में भी बहुत काम आएगी।
Prime Minister Modi also met Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. During the meeting, the two leaders reviewed bilateral relations and discussed ways to deepen cooperation in diverse sectors. They also exchanged views on regional and global developments. Prime Minister Modi also had a meeting with Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev and congratulated him on the success of SCO chairship. The discussions focused on economic cooperation and connectivity between our two countries. In other news, a day before the scheduled arrival of 8 cheetahs from Namibia, authorities revealed that the landing destination of the special cargo plane carrying these felines has been changed from Jaipur in Rajasthan to Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. Let's take a look.
The 8 India-bound cheetahs, 5 females and 3 males, will be flown to Gwalior early on Saturday morning. They will be taken in a special helicopter to the Kuno National Park in Sherpur district of Madhya Pradesh, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release 3 of them into the park's quarantine enclosures. The 8 cheetahs are coming from Namibia's capital Windhoek in a customized Boeing 747-400 aircraft.
So we are trying to get cheetah back to India. That will help us fill a void, a gap which was created in our ecosystems. But we are also mindful that all the additional resources and protection that will go into designated areas where cheetah will come back will also help all other species. So we are very excited about it.
As per the earlier plan, the special plane carrying these animals was to land in Jaipur from the African country.
Challenges were numerous because India is a very populous country. To find space which is large enough to hold viable populations of cheetah is not easy. But the major threat to the extinction of the cheetah has been addressed. It was primarily hunting and collection for private collections, for having animals, coursing wildlife. That threat is gone.
According to the Cheetah Conservation Fund, an international not-for-profit organization headquartered in Namibia and dedicated to saving the cheetah in the world, the 5 female cheetahs are aged between 2 and 5 years and the male cheetahs are aged between 4.5 years and 5.5 years. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on to the weather update. Heavy rains have disrupted normal life in Uttar Pradesh. The Meteorological Department has issued an alert: heavy to very heavy rains in the next 24 hours at some places in the state. In Lucknow, many areas have been submerged due to heavy downpour. At least 9 people died and 2 others got injured in a wall collapse incident in the state capital. All schools and colleges were shut in Lucknow on Friday. Many areas in Gorakhpur have been inundated after heavy rains lashed the city. Chief Minister has ordered rescue and relief operations to help those affected by rains. Now let's take a look at more news from across the nation. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has asked the private sector to clear the dues of micro, small and medium enterprises within 45 days, conceding that the centre, state governments and state-owned enterprises have outstanding dues to the MSME sector. Sitharaman said the private sector also has dues to such small businesses. The government has redefined small companies to increase the threshold for paid-up capital and turnover. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs said these measures were taken to facilitate the ease of doing business. This definition has now been revised by increasing their thresholds for paid-up capital from not exceeding rupees 2 crore to not exceeding rupees 4 crore and turnover from not exceeding rupees 20 crore to not exceeding rupees 40 crore. The Enforcement Directorate raided multiple locations across several states as part of its money laundering investigation in the Delhi excise policy case. The raids come before the agency questions Delhi Minister and AAP leader Satyendra Jain. On Thursday, the agency received a go-ahead from a special CBI court in Delhi to question the jailed minister. The Supreme Court asked the centre to assist medical students who returned to the country from Ukraine following the conflict with Russia. It also called for a web portal giving details of the foreign universities where they could complete their courses as per the government's academic mobility program. A 30-year-old Nigerian woman in Delhi tested positive for monkeypox, making it the city's 8th and the country's 13th case of the viral infection. The woman has been admitted to LNJP hospital. And our news from the world of business and economy. Industrialist Gautam Adani has now taken over Ambuja Cements and ACC in a deal worth $6.5 billion. The new board of Ambuja Cements approved an infusion of rupees 20,000 crore to strengthen its hold on the market. Meanwhile, Adani's elder son Karan was announced as the chairman of ACC Limited. Nearly half of Darjeeling's tea estates, numbering 35 to 40, are up for sale as planters are unable to run the operation smoothly in the absence of international buyers. Falling prices and liquidity crisis are among factors driving the tea garden owners for sale. Tea production in Darjeeling has dropped from 11 million kilogram of a decade ago to 6.7 million kilogram in 2021. Dr. Swati Piramal, Vice Chairperson of Piramal Group, was honoured with the Legion of Honour, France's top civilian award for her contribution in the fields of business, science, medicine and strengthening Indo-French ties. Earlier, Piramal was awarded the second highest civilian honour of France in 2016. It was a tough day for investors as the BSE Sensex crashed more than 1,000 points, while NSE Nifty dropped 346 points as most stocks, barring Cipla and IndusInd Bank, crossed in red. IT and realty stocks shed 3%, with Tech Mahindra and Infosys among the biggest losers. Global markets were in for a tizzy as stocks across US, Europe and Asia declined by 1 to 3%. Shanghai Composite lost 2.5%, while Nikkei 225 closed weaker by 1.11%. Nasdaq went down by 1.35%. Now moving on, the Enforcement Directorate has frozen funds worth rupees 46.67 crore of merchant entities kept in 4 online payment gateway accounts. Action has been taken against EaseBuzz, Razorpay, Cashfree and Paytm. The funds have been frozen under the anti-money laundering law. The action comes after ED raids on the premises of Razorpay, Paytm and Cashfree over alleged irregularities in the operations of instant app-based loan-giving companies controlled by Chinese persons. During the searches, various incrimination documents were seized. Rupees 46.67 crore were frozen in various bank accounts and virtual accounts. Time now for a short break in the bulletin. On the other side, massive fire engulfs 42-story skyscraper in central China.
The SCO is now the largest regional organization in the world.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, itself is drawing a major attention, not only from the regional countries, but there is a global attention to it.
What value does India bring to the SCO, and what is the SCO's value for India?
Focus of its activities is Central Asia, and the Central Asian republics want to have an India there which can try to help them in safeguarding their own interests.
Welcome back. You're watching the news. It's now time for updates from the Russia-Ukraine war front. Ukraine's police chief, Ihor Klemenko, said on Friday that most of the people buried in the mass grave discovered in the recaptured city of Izium are civilians, based on the preliminary estimate. Earlier, Ukrainian authorities said they had found a mass grave containing 440 bodies in Izium, calling it proof of war crimes. He added that the exhumations were still underway. Klemenko said that around 50 dead civilians had been found so far in the Kharkiv region in the past week. Ukrainian President Zelensky said that Russia leaves death everywhere and it must be held accountable for it. The UN Human Rights Office said that reports of mass graves near the retaken Ukrainian city of Izium are shocking. Spokesperson for the UN human rights body, Lise Throssell, said that UN teams would be looking to see whether the bodies were of civilians or military personnel. They would also check whether they had been killed or died from natural causes. Berlin has taken control of the German operations of Russian oil firm Rosneft to secure energy supplies, which have been disrupted due to Russia-Ukraine war. Rosneft German subsidiaries were placed under the trusteeship of the Federal Network Agency. Germany's economy ministry said in a statement on Friday. The move comes as Germany is scrambling to find alternatives to its dependence on Russian fossil fuels. Moscow has stopped natural gas deliveries to Germany via the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. The Ukrainian people were awarded the M100 Media Award in Potsdam in Germany on Thursday night. The award acknowledged the Ukrainian people have been defending themselves with iron steadfastness against Russia's brutal invasion and defending their freedom and sovereignty on European soil. Former world boxing champion Vladimir Klitschko accepted the award on behalf of the Ukrainian people. US President Joe Biden has announced a new $600 million arms package to Ukraine. The package includes high-mobility artillery rocket systems, night vision goggles, mine-clearing equipment, and precision-guided artillery rounds. The Pentagon said that the United States will continue to work with its allies to provide Ukraine with key capabilities to meet its evolving battlefield requirements. A White House memo said that money will also be used for military education and training. Washington has sent about $15.1 billion in security assistance to Ukraine so far. Now look at today's global updates. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban criticized the European Parliament on Friday, calling its recent resolution against Hungary a joke. European Union lawmakers on Thursday said that Hungary's nationalist government is deliberately trying to undermine the bloc's democratic values, and they deplored the failure of the 26 other European Union countries to take action that would bring the country back into line. Here are more details.
The European Union passed a resolution with a 433-123 vote that raised concerns about Hungary's constitutional and electoral systems, judicial independence, and religious freedoms, among other things. The vote is the latest showdown between the EU's institutions and Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government in Budapest. The European Commission is expected to announce on Sunday that it is prepared to suspend payments of some EU money to Hungary. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó slammed the vote, saying that the decision was based on unfounded accusations. A French Greens parliamentarian who spearheaded the resolution said, "For the first time, an EU institution is stating the truth that Hungary is no longer a democracy." In their resolution, the lawmakers said that the Hungarian government, which Orban characterizes as an illiberal democracy, has become a hybrid regime of electoral autocracy. The vote is highly symbolic in that it sets Hungary apart from other EU countries. But the vote does not impose any penalty on Orban's government, nor does it bind other EU countries into taking any particular action. In part, it blames EU member countries for this, for turning a blind eye to possible abuses. Bureau Report, Sunset TV.
Now look at some more world news stories. A strike by air traffic controllers in France forced many airlines to cancel flights stated for Paris on Friday. Travel plans of 80,000 passengers were affected when Ryanair cancelled 420 flights mainly intended to fly over France. Strikes and staff shortages in the past few months have forced airlines to cancel thousands of flights to France. China's National Statistics Bureau on Friday released monthly economic data showing factory output increased by 0.32% in August from the previous month and retail sales shrinking by 0.05% from July. The data indicates a stronger recovery of the economy in August compared with the prior month. The Bureau said the economy has withstood the pressure from shrinking demand, epidemic outbreaks, and extreme high temperature weather in August. Torrential rain submerged cars and flooded streets in the central Italian region of Marche on Friday. The death toll rose to 8 and rescuers continue to search for 4 missing people. Around 400 millimeters of rain fell within 2 to 3 hours, inundating the streets of several towns on the Adriatic coast. The Vatican will keep open paths of dialogue with Russia, even if doing so smells, Pope Francis said, reaffirming Ukraine's right to defend itself. Francis spoke at length about Russia's war in Ukraine and the need for peace while traveling home from Kazakhstan. Francis visited the former Soviet Republic to participate in an interfaith peace conference that, in its final communique, called on all political leaders to stop conflict and bloodshed in all corners of the world. A massive fire sent flames and black smoke pouring Friday from a 42-story skyscraper in central China belonging to the country's largest telecoms operator, but no casualties were reported. Dozens of floors burned in the China Telecom building in the city of Changsha, the capital of the central Hunan province. No injuries or deaths have been reported, China Telecom said in a statement. Now time for our sports segment. England defeated India by 7 wickets in the last T20 international of the 3-match series to clinch it 2-1. India put up an inept batting performance, scoring only 122 for 8. England reached the target in 18.2 overs. 15-year-old Bengaluru teenager Pranav Anand became India's 76th Grandmaster after he crossed the 2,500 elo mark in the ongoing World Youth Chess Championship in Mamaia, Romania. Mark Boucher has been appointed Mumbai Indians head coach for the upcoming IPL season. Boucher replaces Mahela Jayawardene, who has been elevated to the role of global head of performance by the franchise. Cristiano Ronaldo scored for the first time this season as Manchester United got the Europa League campaign back on track with a 2-0 win at Sheriff Tiraspol. Ravi Kumar Dahiya lost to Uzbekistan Gulmoz Abdullaev in the quarter-final round of the 57kg category at the World Wrestling Championships 2022. Dahiya lost 0-10 by technical superiority. That's all we have time for in today's The News. Keep watching Sunset Television for more updates. Good night.